Okay, so we're just getting started with this. And first we have the laser here. We want to make sure that everything is lined up. So when we put in our optics, first we make sure that everything is about the same height. For example, the laser is roughly this height, and I have that. A microscope objective roughly the same height. And this is our beam splitter. It splits beam intensity half-half, so this is also roughly the right height. Let's see, where's the Allen key? Looking for that Allen key there. I'll borrow one from here. We have gotten new Allen keys. I had it before. I don't really know where that has gone. So I'm just going to move this and reset it up. This will take a little bit of time. But everything has been set up already, so I only have to do a little bit extra work. So, okay, so now this one's free. I'm using a pedestal post holder so I can hold the thing in any spot I need to be. Okay, so for the mirrors, I have the mirrors on a post so I can slide it on against this post holder. And the goal for this exercise first is to make sure the laser is actually level, and then everything else has to be level with the laser. So I have this little thing here. This is a card holder, and well, I kind of ran out of that. Okay, here, this thing here, without a card holder, that one was an alternative. So I'll just do this. Make sure the laser is horizontal, is level. So I'll have the laser incident on the card. I'll pick a target. You can even see the target through the card holder. Okay, I'll pick this target here. There's two horizontal bars. I'm hitting the top of that, the two horizontal bars. I'll move it further back and see if I can still have it hit the same exact horizontal bars. Roughly right, but maybe we need to tilt up just a little bit. So I have this front side already secured. So I'll have the back side tilt up. Okay, well, that's a little bit enough already. So it's hitting the top of these. Actually, there are 3 bars. The top of it, that feature, and I'm going to move it back. It's still hitting the top of that feature. That means it is level now, roughly level. Okay, so I'll mess up these ones. Okay, and we'll try to level the mirror. So if the laser is level and the mirror is level, the mirror will reflect the laser right back to the exit slit, aperture. So I'll make it further apart so that we have a longer beam path. So I'll reach this up and just kind of turn it by hand. Okay, this is definitely not exactly horizontal enough. The return spot is higher than the aperture. So there are 2 of these screws, and the pivot is here. There's a ball here. So if you turn this screw, it'll tilt the front surface back forward and backward against the fixed back surface. If you turn that one, it'll actually turn the front surface sideways. We'll use that later, but we can just turn by hand right now sideways, and this one controls up and down. So we want to return the beam exactly the same height as the incident. So I'll just turn this. Okay, so that should be good enough. So now this mirror is level. I'll put it aside. I'll put another mirror here. Make sure this one's also level. So okay, where's the beam spot? Here. Okay, so this one is actually below. So I'll loosen that screw. Let me go above. This is roughly the right height. Okay, we have roughly the right height. So now this one's also level. And then also the beam splitter. The beam splitter is coated only on one side. We need to first figure out which side is coated, which side is not. We want the coated side to be the front surface for the reflection. So I'll take something that is, well, this is no use anymore, that is soft enough to kind of get close to the beam splitter. You may not be able to see it on the video, but if you look at it with your own eyes, you can see this side has very dim reflection, and you have kind of a double image. And this side is bright enough reflection. You can see the image kind of touching the object because that's the side that is that's coated. So this side is coated. I'll mess up the alignment. So I'll do the same thing. There will be some reflection. The reflection has to be returning to the laser, large enough distance. Okay, I don't even know where that is. Okay, here, a little bit too high, and we'll tip his head down. It's a little okay. I think I'm roughly level with all the 3 pieces of optics. And now I want to put this one in, and I need to have some space here so that I can put in this microscope objective to expand the beam. But before I get my beam spots lined up, I don't want to expand the beam at all. So I want to put it somewhere here. This is roughly 12 inches. So somewhere here that I can turn it roughly 45-degree angle to direct the beam downward towards myself. So am I actually lined up well enough? First of all, I want to move this way a little bit because I have an obstacle here, right? So if I'm too close, so the transmitted beam will be cut off by the fixture here. So it's already cut off. Now it's actually not cut off anymore. So I want to move it a little further, closer to the not really the center, but this side. So the reflection doesn't get cut off. Remember, when we put this in, the beam is going to expand, so it further is going to get cut off if your incident center is too far from the too close to this side. So okay, now the next thing I want to do is to actually have it reflect down 90 degrees, right? 90 degrees, so it'll be 45 on the incident. So how do I do that? I'll take a couple of these fixed post holders, and since I'm already lined up on this, I'll use this row of holes. So I'll put something over here. This side's a little loose. Okay. All right, I'll put something over here, and I'll be able to move it over there as well. So I want to make sure that the reflected beam is roughly hitting the same spot when I move this thing, and the same spot meaning the center. So I'm going to move this further up here. I don't really have. Oh, I see. I got it. This one has a broken thing here. Okay. So what feature am I looking at? Something in the middle of this target. I'm trying to have it hit the middle feature here. Okay, so is it actually downrange just fine? It's approximately fine. I'll move it down here. A little too tall, but I think we're directed this way a little. So I'm going to turn it to compensate. This is not essential, but we want to make sure we have a nice direction, roughly 45 degrees. Okay, this is roughly good. I don't really need that anymore. I need to tie that down with a pedestal post holder clamp. So that will be the clamp, and there's a ring here, this kind of groove to hold on to that ring. I'll just carefully put it there. Move it around until I see a nice, decent mounting hole here. I'll use that mounting hole, and there it is. I wish I could have something a little shorter, but that'll do. So just kind of mount it in here. So once you tie this down, you shouldn't really move it anymore. You shouldn't really tilt it or try to rotate it unless something really encourages you to do that. Only one group did it, and they were the last one to leave. So that tells you something about not moving this once you have it tied down. That'll take a little while. Wish I had a ball drive. I can stick it at an angle and keep turning it. Getting there. Okay. All right. Just kind of tie it, don't break it. Okay, so it's tight enough. And the next thing to do is we'll start putting the mirrors in. This one I already put in. There are 2 mounting holes. We have done this in the past. So just mount the mounting holes. The holes are loose fit, so you want to make sure that at least visibly this translation stage is actually moving along the holes instead of at an angle. Because if it's at an angle, then when you move 1 millimeter, you are only moving less than a millimeter this way. You're moving a mirror, so it doesn't really matter where it hits on the mirror, it reflects, but its distance along that direction is not moved by 1 millimeter. So I did my best to line them up, virally, and now I just need one of the mirrors. This one has a shorter post. I'll put this one in, and I want to make sure that the laser spot is hitting the center of this mirror. Okay, that's good. And I'm going to return that beam where the reflection spot is. It's not really that easy to see, but you can kind of see it on the laser. On the laser, there's a small spot that's due to me reflecting back. But as you can see, the small spot is no longer lined up with that hole. Probably, with different mounting algorithm, different mounting, and there may be a small tilt angle involved. So I will blame this one. I'll actually just tilt this one back until it goes right back. Okay, so now the return, that's not really interesting. The one that reflects and transmits, that's the spot we're going to use for interference. Okay, so now this one, before I put it in, I want to make sure I have them roughly at the same distance from the mirror. We're 50% reflection mirror. So the center of this one here is roughly in between these two holes. So I'll have a 1/2 inch here. So 1/2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, roughly 13. And the spot is right here, so roughly 14 inches away. I want to make sure that this pass is also roughly 14 inches so I can get the best interference. So this spot roughly lines up with that hole here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I just need to move that one hole to the left. So this will be roughly 14 inches. Okay. And I'll put that mirror in. Hopefully the reflection is not bad. So okay, mirror is hitting the center. So just be a little careful. Your eyesight is roughly there. The eyesight, the height of the laser spot. So I'm turning. I'm actually looking at well, it's too tight. Here I see this reflection here, and it's only a little bit above, so I'll tilt this thing to make it below. And it's difficult to turn the post. I'll just turn this so the mirror will go sideways and roughly right back in there. And what I'm actually more interested in is having the spots to line up, to overlap on that screen. So I'll block one spot. Okay, looks like that's where the bright spot is. See, one of them, this one actually creates two spots. One's really bright, the other's dim, so you know which one to pick, the bright one. The other pass creates two spots that are really similar in the brightness. So it's a little harder to pick which spot it is. I think it's the left spot, but not right now. The right spot is actually almost overlapping with the other pass's spot. So I'm going to angle the mirror away. So the two will overlap with each other, and they're not exactly tilted the same way. I make my tiny adjustment. So okay, now I'm a little more confident that the spots are lining up and the pass is roughly the same length. And I'll expand the beam so that we can see whether there's any interference or not. When you're doing this, you want to make sure that the laser beam is hitting the center, the axis of the optics. If it doesn't, say if the laser spot is higher, then you hit the optics, you'll actually be sending off a lower image or expanded beam. So let's just put this in. We're looking here at the where the laser spot is hitting, roughly the middle. And once it goes through, it becomes an expanded beam. So kind of bigger by the distance. So we'll make that beam directed against that mirror. Okay, so I have it roughly against mirror, but it's too low. It's lower than the mirror. It's hitting the post. I bet it's also doing the same thing over here. That means this is not high enough. I need to reset a little bit. So squeeze that post and just pull it up a little. As you are looking at the reflection, okay, there you go. A little higher now. And oh, we're already seeing something overlapping there. The light is pretty bright, but we may still be able to see something here. Okay. Let's try to expand it a little more. Okay, I think I see it.